All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I am one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always, it is
Matty Juice. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Episode 117. Tommy, you hit that fresh juice. Perfect, crisp, nice and hard right there. That was good.
All
That
right.
was good. Yeah, fresh juice. I like it. And I just want to give a little reminder here to any folks that are watching the show, whatever you're watching it on, listening to, be sure to rate the show because we have been showing up when people search for indie games on Apple Podcasts and all the different platforms. So if you're a new listener, old listener, and you haven't rated the show yet, just a little reminder to do so. It takes 2 seconds, helps us out big time. And there we go. That's out of the way. Tommy, how are you? What's on the menu today for the listeners?
I'm good. Yeah, and also a little inside baseball as to why I hit that fresh juice so hard is because, funny enough, I have 2 podcasts, right? I always talk about the other one, and they both start with fresh. And every single time I start each podcast, I have to look at the logo of which one I'm doing to make sure I don't fuck it up. But but hey, we got a good show for you all today. We're gonna do some game talk. You know, I was traveling over the weekend. We'll have some reviews next week. You know, talk about some notable releases. Of course, some more Gen AI news out there in the world. And yeah, we'll just chat and answer some listener questions and send you all on your way after we, of course, recommend something at the end of the show. I am good, a little under the weather, but I think I'm on the other end of it. I was traveling, though, over the weekend.
Yeah.
Went to beautiful Ohio. And it was Columbus, which is a cool city, to be fair. And you know what? I love to dunk on Ohio a lot. Their prices on stuff are way better than we have
Really?
here. Oh yeah.
Like what? Like what were you getting?
I went out for dinner at a bar and got like a sandwich that came with fries and like a side of like mac and cheese or something, and then also like a drink, and it was only like $30. Which is like pretty good.
Is that what do you normally? Okay, so
like an alcoholic beverage. I'm saying
okay.
like
Right.
normally if I was getting all 3, like it was like a hefty side. It was not like it was
not
like an
a little
app
cup. Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
it was like an app, a
right.
main, and like a alcoholic beverage for $30.
Mm-hmm.
Here at least 40, but
yeah, that's good.
It was at a casino, so I don't know if that changes things. So maybe that was what was going on. But, you know, it was a good weekend. I will say it started off interesting, right? I wake up nice and early, head to Newark Airport, one of the best.
Woo!
Just kidding. And
Better
I get
than
on
LAX,
my
I'll tell you.
yeah. I hop on my flight and I sit down and I'm like, oh, the seats next to me, like it was a smaller plane, so it was like 2 and 2. It wasn't 3 and 3. You know, for the seat sections. I sit down. I'm an aisle seat guy. I like my aisle seat. I don't care about the window or whatever. And I'm waiting. Guy sits next to me, and then nobody sits across. So I could have hopped over, but the guy that sits next to me is a certified yapper.
Oh boy.
And I will tell you, we were chatting from the time he sat down to the time I hopped in my Uber in Columbus. And what do we talk about? You name it. It was everything. And nice guy, of course. Like, you know, I was totally fine talking to him. He's really interesting. He's a truck driver who drives the trucks that tows all the other trucks. When you see like 5 of them like stacked together, like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and
he's the truck driver's truck driver.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. So pretty cool. And then he like, you know, kind of like a little rednecky, right? Which was, you know, like
Yeah.
just a typical truck driver. But then he just like starts talking about like science experiments and stuff like that, and how much he's into science, and like
Yeah.
showing his kids science. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. He's like, yeah, we once exploded a lithium battery. I told my kids never again. That was probably too dangerous. I'm like, holy moly! And then he's like,
He's talking about this on a plane,
on a plane. Yeah,
talking about exploding a lithium battery.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. People were looking at us.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, we're talking about, he just like brings up, yeah, it's like, I'm always like kind of wary about like radiation and stuff like that. I actually have like a monitor with me. He pulls out of his bag. He's like, when you're up in this altitude, you can see how much more radiation you're being exposed to because you're closer to the sun. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, look at this. He pulls it out, he gets it going, and then he takes out his phone. He has like a GPS thing on his phone that's telling us what altitude we're at and how fast we're going. And he's showing me side by side. See, it scaled up because we went up in there. I'm like, that's crazy, man. He's like, yeah, I saw on this YouTube, man. I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
So what is he doing about it? He's just tracking it. He's like, yeah, there's more radiation.
Yeah.
Is he like wearing tinfoil?
No, he's just like, this is pretty.
Himself?
Isn't this cool? Like that we can look at this. I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
I was never really thinking about it.
Yeah.
He's like, I got this on Amazon for like $20. And I was like, okay, I actually have a picture. Let me see if I can bring it up. I was like, can I take a picture of that? Not because I want to buy it, but I was like, this is happening right here. He is showing me the radiation.
Nice.
Super nice guy though. Just like, but I was like I kept looking over at that other aisle, like the empty seats. I was like, man, I could have just been spread out.
Yeah.
But it paid off. I got to spread out on my flight this morning, and it all ended well. And then the weekend was good. Flesh and Blood was good. I lost my winning in for day 2, unfortunately, but I hadn't really practiced a lot with the holidays and the move, so I take that as a small victory moving forward.
Sounds like excuses to me.
Yeah, a little bit.
You got to pay the bills, Tommy.
Yeah, but it was good to see a lot of my Flesh and Blood friends.
Nice.
I saw, some friends that live out in Ohio that I haven't seen since my wedding. That they were there, so got to hang out with them and do stuff with them. But yeah, now back to reality. It snowed over the weekend, and I will say I'm usually the shoveler. And Lady Fresh was not happy that I was not around to shovel. But
did you guys get snow in Ohio too?
I think closer to Cleveland they did, but not down towards Columbus. They got that lake effect stuff, but we didn't get it there. But
it wasn't that much snow. Oh well, you might have got more than me. I literally got like an inch of snow, maybe.
I think over the weekend we probably got like a foot.
Holy hell!
Like
really?
Over the 3 different days or something like that. Maybe like 8 inches. Yeah. But
wow.
But we always get
8
more.
Inches, that's crazy. That's like
lot. It's too much.
That's way too much.
Way too much.
That's like twice as much as I would want, right?
Yeah. It hurts. But how was your weekend? What's going on with you?
It was good. So let's see, Saturday, obviously playoff football is happening too. So I was watching some of that, which is good. Saturday, Lady Juice is starting to, she went on like a little trial run for giving tours. She's kind of doing like a little side gig of being a tour guide. So I was me and the baby for a bunch of hours, and we had a great time. We baked cookies together. She was a big help, just talking to me in her gibberish. And let's see, just kind of hung out. I was able to, once Lady Juice got back from her little tour gig there, I was able to carve out some time to do some videos, which was good. Play some games that I've been meaning to make videos on, and then also diving more into the 3D printing. It's been a lot of 3D printing. I got spools on spools here.
Oh man,
it's gonna get worse, Tommy, because when I figured out that I can order filament on Amazon and it can be here overnighted for free. So
Wow.
it's a problem. I already ordered like 4 extra spools. I've been printing a bunch of stuff, and I have a project ahead of me. It's this cool thing that everyone always recommends in the 3D printing community. It's called multi-board. It's essentially this like modular pegboard kind of thing that you can build, and it has like so many different like things that people have made for it. So what I had to do is kind of measure the wall that I want it on, and then they have a planner that tells you like how much of each part you're going to need, and it's gonna take me a while to print everything, like, maybe, like, a week or 2 of straight printing,
Wow.
to just cover a part of the wall, but once I have it up there, it's just kinda printing things as I need it, but I'm excited for that. It's something I've been wanting to do, make a little workstation area over in my office here where I got tools and, just stuff that I use to, like, open up stuff. I just ordered actually, these are, like, magnets that I printed out some runes from RuneScape that will turn into little magnets for the fridge and stuff. So just cool stuff
Very
like that.
nice.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of 3D printing over the weekend, watching football. Yeah, not really too much. I took off of work today, which is Monday. For those who don't know, we recorded this a little earlier. And um, yeah, went to a doctor appointment. It was all good with my daughter. That was nice. It's getting some good news there. And I'm trying to think if there was really anything else. Honestly, a lot of my time outside of the baby stuff has been just 3D printing, playing some games, playing a game that I'll talk about next week that I was fortunate enough to get early access to. So that's been a lot of fun. And then I just been doing a lot of research for like content stuff, like just trying to plan out my year kind of. By the end of January, I have a goal to like figure out, what games I want to cover throughout the year, the ones that we know the dates of, all that sort of stuff. So it's been a busy January so far, but a good one. I think it'll set us up nicely for the rest of the year. And something that pertains to the podcast as well is my own content, Matty Gorm. I was previously focusing on just survival games, but I talked to a few other creators. I did a poll with my audience, and now I'm just going to cover indie games, just like this podcast. It all ties in together.
Ooh,
So it makes
tied
it
in.
easy to promote the pod on my other
Mm-hmm.
channels. So there we go.
Oh yeah.
So that's the new strategy for this year, and I'm very excited about it because I do love playing all these indies, and yeah, so that's been it really. Not too much going on. Outside of that, just a lot of stuff at home, and yeah, that's about it. But excited to do some game talk about some upcoming games we're excited for.
Yeah, yeah. I do have. I have to talk to you actually after the podcast about your content because I had a revelation. I was watching one of your videos, I think on Thursday, one of your hightail videos. I had a revelation. I was like, I figured it out.
Okay.
This is how you're gonna do it,
All right.
and you're not even gonna have to change anything. I'll tell you that much.
All right.
But well, you're gonna. I mean, maybe
So we don't need to talk.
basically
We don't. I
Basically, you
don't
got
have
to
to
give me $1
change a
million.
thing.
No,
Okay.
I need some capital. No, I. So actually, a question about the 3D printing.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll watch. Usually, I'll get fed videos about 3D printing on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and I'll watch them. And then I watched one where this guy was printing a bunch of plates and forks and stuff like
Oh.
that. And the comments were like filled with like, I mean, I guess like people were saying like, hey, don't eat off these. Like, the percentage of microplastics, which is like huge
Yeah.
stuff right now, is way higher on this 3D printed stuff. So you don't want to be eating off of any of it.
Mhm.
Is that something you've come across?
So, it probably is something I just don't know enough about because there's so many different materials you can use to print. I'm printing something called PLA, which is like whatever. It's like the basic stuff that like all it's the most widely used, I would say. And this one is like it's like plant based, but I can't really like print stuff that would be outside and like in the weather,
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, because it'll eventually
Gotcha.
kind of like deteriorate a little bit. But there are other things there. What basically I'll say that I don't know what material they were printing, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure there's got to be a material out there that you can print and eat off of because people buy plastic plates from, you
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
from like Target and stuff like that. Like we've had some of those before, you know. So I would imagine that there's got to be some sort of material that's like food safe that you can print, because there's honestly just so much. Now, I don't know. I know PLA is apparently safe, and I hope so because I've been printing it in my office while I've been working. But the fumes are not bad for you because it's
Okay,
all
yeah,
plant
yeah.
based. But pretty much anything that I've seen that's not PLA, people are like, you need to vent this out of your window or have a
Mm.
contained 3D printer. So maybe while printing some of that stuff, it might not be good to be near it and until it's done. And you know, maybe that's a factor, and like maybe some of those fumes are like embedded in the plastic or something. I don't really know. But I'm sure there is a way to print food safe stuff out there because I've seen stuff that like people say is dishwasher safe, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, you're obviously going to be putting something you ate or drank from in the
Mm-hmm.
dishwasher, right? So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, but honestly I don't know enough about it to know if there is a safe material out there. But there's so many I see. I don't even know what most of them mean. Um, but I imagine that like the average person is using PLA, so I would not eat off of it personally.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
unless I had to, but I wouldn't eat off it repeatedly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So good question though. Definitely something that is something to consider if you're going to 3D print things that you're going to use to eat or drink from.
Yeah, yeah. That's the only thing. It's like there's so much now about microplastics, and it's like you know, like how long have we all been? Like they say that
Yeah.
it's just like in us now,
Yeah.
and but there's different ways to kind of mitigate it. So it's probably going to be something we'll learn more about in the next 10 years. But yeah, I was just wondering if you came across anything like that. But obviously, if you're not looking to eat off of anything, you're 3D printing. I guess it doesn't matter, right? So
Yeah. I'll actually hold on a second. Give me just a second. This
okay,
just finished.
I'm filling the dead air. Matt is going to grab something from
This is what
his
just printed. It's a little
oh, a little
middle
middle
finger.
finger.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a middle
how about
finger
that?
thing. It's for I don't know, it's for Lady Juice. It's like something from one of her books. It's like this cauldron where like
Oh,
it's a middle finger that's coming out of it. It's from I
oh,
don't know. I told her I was like, here's where you can find a bunch of 3D models. Let me know what you want. And this was like one of the two things that she wanted because it's from some book that she read. So
very cool.
there it
Very cool.
is. I prefer personally printing like functional things most of the time, but these things are cool too. It's just,
Like the dragons that you buy at
yeah,
the flea
exactly.
market.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start. I think there's a real opportunity for me to start selling those. I think this
There's
is
a
an
real
untapped
gap in that
market.
market.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I should do it.
Yeah. So shifting gears here. I hate to bring it down like this, but we do have news. Is it good news? It sure is. We have a friggin' Discord, folks. Get in there. It's in
Do
the
it.
show notes. You can ask questions. We ping everybody right before we're starting to record and stuff like that. Maybe we should give people a little bit more time, but you know what? Nothing like the present, and you know it makes people panic, and we like doing that. Get
Yep.
in there, and we can answer some of your questions, interact with you. We can recommend games. We have the really awesome free game notifier bot that is so clutch. Like we get a couple of those a week, and you're like, oh, that's free? Sign me up. Awesome. So check it out. It's in the show notes below. Now, let's get to some notable releases this week. First, a game that you put here, the Gold River Project. What's the deal with this?
Yeah, so this is one that I've covered before in like I did like a little recap video like survival kind of games coming out in January, and I've seen this one talked about. People seem to like the demo from it, or the yeah, I guess it was a demo, but essentially what it is, it's like you and I think a group of like three friends. It kind of looks silly in the in the trailer here, but it's like a very camping kind of hiker focused survival game. So you're with your three friends, you know, you got your campsite, but then you realize that you're kind of in this area that's being like like monitored, right? There's like surveillance cameras, things like that. So you're trying to like unravel this story of like who's watching us, and you start to kind of realize, and I assume that like the Gold River project is like what you're participating in. So yeah, I just want to give a little shout out. It's coming out in early access on the 23rd, and I've just seen some people you know, hyped around it. I don't really know if it's a game for me. You know, it might be something you know, if I had a key, I definitely try it, but I'm not too sure if I'd play this like solo. But yeah, it's, you know, it's another survival game coming out this month that I saw some people looking forward to. So there's a demo on Steam too. So if you want to try it out, but yeah, the Gold River Project, uh, you know, seems like an interesting concept, but there you go.
Yeah. I am amazed at how many survival games there can be. Like it to me it seems like not like a bad genre. It feels like it would have been more niche than it seems it actually is, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, like here's a question. What do you think is the kind of catalyst for the popularity of these games? Does it start with Minecraft? Is this like Minecraft really capture the hearts of, like, you know, what that's like 15 years old, if not longer at this point,
Yeah.
that these Minecraft players from back then, maybe they got into like high school, now they're like in their 30s and they're like, you know what, I want something a little bit more heavy duty.
Yeah.
Is do you think that's like kind of the reason?
I think it definitely depends on the type of game it is. For a game like the Gold River Project, I actually feel like day people that played DayZ back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like when that was a mod for Arma 2, like I remember I played some of that. That was my first exposure to like survival games, and I honestly think you know, I will say like a good amount of survival games that come out are not good, and they're like not original concepts. Some people maybe look for the story in survival games, and maybe that's what the allure is here, is that's a little different. You know, it's in the Pacific Northwest, which is a little different than maybe some other ones, but I think the hook, at least for me, is like people like almost like starting from nothing and then having to okay, I have to build up my base, like I have to you know, that feeling of like I need to do whatever it takes to kind of
Mm-hmm.
survive in this, you know, game. I think that that's the allure of like games like this, because it's tough, because a lot of survival games, you know, I'm playing Star Rupture earlier in the month. That's all about automation, right? So I don't really feel like I'm like starting from nothing
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, having to like survive in this harsh climate. I'm more focused on like, all right, I got to go mine this, automate it, and then I get more upgrades. It's like more sci-fi esque. Excuse me, I'm burping here, but yeah, it is. Even to someone like me that loves survival games, I am very surprised at like how often they come out and how many of them have similarities between each other, right? Like I could see the Gold River Project, not saying it's like these games, but like The Forest is another game where like you're you're kind of doing this similar thing here, and there's weird things going on and you're trying to unravel this story. You know, Green Hell, like there's a few different survival games that have kind of already done this concept. So it's always interesting to me that when people are like excited for a game like this, because I don't know exactly why they're interested in it. You know, it could be the story. It could just be, oh, it's a fun game to play with friends because it's co-op, right? So like you don't really
Mm-hmm.
care that much about the fact that it's a survival game. But honestly, for me, you know, I know Minecraft is technically, you know, it's a survival game. I never viewed it as a survival game. And maybe it's because when I first played it, There's no hunger bar like back in the day, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
it more felt like just like a sandbox game first, right? And then maybe with like some survival elements of like, oh, it's nighttime and the creepers come out and all that stuff, and you got to build a base. But I don't know. I find that games that are more like this, that are a little bit more contained, like Gold River Project or like, The Forest or Grounded, um, those that's what I view as like a true survival game. And then games like Minecraft, I view as like, I guess, a sandbox survival, right? Where like
Mm-hmm.
it's really just you don't need to try that hard to survive, I guess, in Minecraft. Personally, that's how I feel. So I don't know. I'm maybe the younger generations, like they grew up with Minecraft, right? And like maybe this isn't really for them, but they're enjoying, you know, other kind of procedural sandboxy kind of survival game. But for me, when I look at survival games, I always think back to DayZ, where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I start with nothing. That has like a whole PvP side of it, but even just like the PvE, like I need to. There's no resources around. I need to go loot things. I need to try to find interesting things, and then there's always that moment of like you found something really good and you're like, oh man, I need to like protect this as best as I can. That's what I like about survival games, and why I want them to keep coming out. But yeah, I mean, it's a interesting question. Like, you know, I sometimes I think that about like deck builder games, right? Because there's a lot
Yeah.
of like crossover, right, with that. I've seen people even complain about just like roguelike in general, like that,
Yeah.
even though that covers a lot of different things. Like people are like, oh, this is just like another whatever, or like
Eh,
Metroidvania,
Yeah. How many Hades likes are there? You know?
right, exactly, yeah. So it's very interesting though, because survival games went through this period of like everyone's trying to cash in, so there's a lot of crap out there. So I
Yeah.
honestly
Yeah.
kind of thought that they'd fade away at that point. But it almost feels like in the last like 2 years or so, there's been like a resurgence of survival games in general. So I don't know. It's very interesting to me, because I honestly was prepared to be like, all right, I'm just gonna play 1 or 2 survival games a year that come out that are good, but it seems like, there's good ones coming out almost every month, during the year. So, um, yeah, it's definitely interesting for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like, like it's hard for me to comment on like how good they can be or whatever because it's just not my style of game. But like, it's the same with the deck builder thing, right? Like there's a lot of crap out there. You play ones, you're like, well, this is just nonsense. But
Yeah.
like, and it's definitely cashing in on first the Slay the Spire surge and then the Balatro surge. So, but like when I look at these, but compared to something like this, not to say this is a cash in, but like compared to a genre like this, I feel like the deck builder stuff is somewhat like at least lower budget. So there's not as much at risk.
Yeah.
This feels like there must be some marketing data out there that says, listen, we can invest money into a survival game because it's going to make money. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And I also think like part of that, because it's interesting you bring that up, and I've seen that with certain survival games. I forget exactly which ones, and they might not be out yet, but there are developers out there, because survival games are, there's always like differences of like this survival game has this type of system with their chests, and this one has a different type of system, and this one has like your inventory like works differently than in this other survival game. And there's always developers I see that are like, we're making the survival game that we've always dreamed of like it has this system in it. And like I feel like maybe that's what keeps these games like getting made. I can think of like Artem is another one, and Ormod Directive. Those are two survival games where I know the developers are like they've always known what they've liked about survival games, but there's never been a game that kind of combines everything they like. So I feel like that's also kind of part of it, is that a game like Gold River Project might have similarities to another game, but there could be certain parts of it that the developers are like, oh, well, we really wanted, I don't know, this type of combat, or like this type of modification system for weapons or whatever it might be that like exists in this other game, but that's the only part of that other game we like. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very, you know, I think very like, uh, what, like ambitious? No, it's very, I'm trying to think of
Ambiguous.
the right wording. Like, like what the developers love is their drive to build these games. So like they just
Mm-hmm.
like favor certain things. And I see
Gotcha.
that a lot with like, these survival games that come out, is that, they're trying to combine multiple things of their dream game, and hopefully it like resonates with people.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair. I mean,
yeah.
it's created a lot of great games in the past. So, yeah, I just wanted to just like ask you about it because it was
Yeah.
very interesting to me because I look at these games, I'm like, wow, these are pretty large scale. You know, like I start thinking about the money, right? Like,
Yeah.
the money must be there. So that's what is the biggest surprising thing to me. It's like, oh, this is way more popular than I could even imagine because these developers clearly believe, and probably for good reason, that the money is there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
but
you got to watch out though with these games for this reason alone right here. Early access,
early, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So I honestly feel like with survival games more than any other genre, if like the early access period isn't going well, there's a high chance that that
they're gonna
game is
drop
never
it.
going to hit 1.0. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's probably also part of it, where they're like, we're going to release an early access, see what the feedback is, and see if we can finish this game. When I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of other genres, they already have a plan for 1.0, right?
Yeah,
Of what
yeah.
they want to do. If they're, unless unless it's like grounded or something with like a big studio behind it for survival
Mm-hmm.
games. But speaking of deck builders, though, have you seen this game,
Turnbound.
Turnbound?
I have not seen this, but I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, oh, is this like Backpack Battles meets like a PvP kind of thing, or like Auto Battler? Kind of looks neat. I mean, not using the art style per se, but this does kind of look cool.
Yeah, actually, I don't even know if it technically is a deck builder. It's more of a
No, it might not be. Yeah,
board game auto battler kind of vibe, but um, yeah, it seems kind of interesting. It almost reminds me of like what
bizarre.
the bazaar, but without
Yeah.
cards, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's instead of just having like your set like thing on the bottom, like
Yeah.
hell, you actually have a grid that you got to make everything fit a little bit more
Hmm.
um like on a different dimension, which is kind of interesting. I think these games are also kind of gaining in popularity. I mean, the Bazaar is certainly a huge hit. I mean, people love the Bazaar,
Yeah.
and for good reason. I played a little bit of it. It was a lot of fun, and like things like backpack battles and backpack hero and stuff like that, where you have these systems where you only have X amount of like even Dredge uses this system. Like when you're fishing for different kind of fish, you need to be able to fit it on your boat. It has a certain kind of grid.
Hmm.
This is an interesting system. I don't always love it. I like it. Excuse me, when it's like done well. This one looks like kind of interesting. I don't know. This one like probably really depends on the player base, but I could see if it is successful out the gate, kind of gets a bizarre style, you know, like bump. I can
Yeah.
see a lot of people playing this. People kind of love this stuff because it's like you got to think, but it also can be like a good time killer as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this game's gonna heavily rely on like the player base because it seems like it's just PvP. I don't know if there is any PvE modes or anything like that, but I'm on like the same side as you. Like sometimes I hate this sort of like slot based system, especially in like survival games. Some of them have it, and I feel like it's sometimes there just to make things like a little more difficult, and not really like there's no benefit of kind of having these
Yeah.
systems. So it's kind of interesting. It's almost like the the size of these items is kind of like the mana cost of these items,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something I'll keep my eye on. I can see some of like the Hearthstone and Bazaar streamers that I've watched in the past, like playing something like this because it definitely has like that aesthetic, I'd say. Um, but yeah, it seems kind of interesting. They also do highlight here on the bottom, no generative AI was used to create any of
Oh,
these assets. Not even the battles are AI. All of them come from saved slash winning builds created by other players. So I guess there is some PvE elements in the game.
oh
Um,
yeah. I guess it's PvP
yeah,
in the sense that like you're just matching up against other people that already made a
yeah,
deck or whatever. You know.
yeah. But yeah, it definitely has a certain charm to it, and it looks like there's been a lot of like love poured in. We'll just see kind of how the player base reacts, especially since this is also early access. But
Hmm.
um, yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
Turnbound.
yeah. I wonder if like this grid based like slot management system. I mean, I guess initially it probably came out of a creative way to say, okay, like I guess like Skyrim's a good example. It's like, oh, I can only carry so much stuff, right? And like you only have so much stuff to carry in your bag, and you're gonna have to make decisions. This makes it at least more interesting, I
Hmm.
guess, in a way where you're like, oh, my bag looks like a grid, and I get to figure out rather than just say, oh, this weighs this much. You know,
Yeah.
it takes up this much space. So it's kind of neat. But next is a game that kind of looks cool. I got my eyes on Blightstone, dark fantasy tactical roguelike game. Oh my god, roguelike. But yeah, it kind of looks neat. It reminds me like you have this like turn-based system where your person's kind of moving, and at the same time you're like trying to like create a tactical advantage with movement in a way that kind of reminds me of like Arco, but not as real time. So it looks neat. I like the art style. It kind of is giving a little bit of Darkest Dungeon art style,
Hmm.
and it could be a winner. People love these kinds of games. I'm definitely no stranger to them. So I'm gonna keep my eye on it. Look at how it's reviewed. Maybe I'll even play it because it comes out tomorrow as when we're recording. It's gonna go out in early access. It has 50,000 wish lists, so people are hyped.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely. I mean, I love the art style here. I will like, turn-based games are like I either love them or I don't love them.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this one does seem like one I could really enjoy. And it also looks like at least it mentions in the description here, like you can use free movement as well, which is kind of interesting. So I guess you're kind of walking around, and then all the encounters are just turn based, versus kind of just clicking areas on a map and moving from encounter to encounter. That's what it kind of seems like, but. This one also has like the potential to be a hit as well. Just it seems like a lot of care and love went into this. Yeah, seems kind of interesting. I do find that games where like I have to like recruit a squad are typically
Mm-hmm.
games where like I'm either just not good at it, or like I just don't vibe with it like at all for some reason. I don't know why. I just
Mm-hmm.
it kind of like overwhelms me a little bit. So that's just like me. But I will say, I mean, like I love the interactions that are happening here, and like just like the art, and I mean it looks like a really solid, well put together game.
Yeah, the UI looks pretty like easy
Yeah.
to grasp too, which I kind of like. And I kind of keep coming back to like, on the Steam page here, they have this blurb that says no grids, no limits, right? Like a lot of these like tactical RPGs, like Fire Emblem and stuff like that, you have like a grid based system, and you got to move around like that. So they're like trying to play into like, hey, you got to like, you know, you got to be very creative on like how you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's not like super predictable, but you can actually like create like a cool advantage, which is neat.
Yeah.
So I'll probably check it out, depending on how much it is, of course. But 50,000 wish list is pretty impressive, I would say, for a
Yeah.
game like that.
Absolutely.
And then finally, It's not Blackjack, but it is Rogue Jack 21, which is a definitely maybe a cash in on the Balatro train. But I like this one's interesting because like I saw some people talk about the demo, and I don't know if I really like the way the game looks aesthetically.
Hmm.
It looks a little janky, but maybe it could be all right. I don't know. I mean, it's a little all over the place, but it could be a hit. I'm gonna. This one's like a wait and see for me,
Yeah.
right? Because it's definitely on paper something that I would enjoy, obviously. But is this just like we talked about earlier, a cash in and like a lot of shit? So we'll see.
Yeah, this one to me, it's also a kind of a wait and see for me because obviously the concept, I'm into, but it feels a little like mobile gamey or like I see an ad for this, or like on TikTok and like I don't yeah, just I'm not crazy about like the way the game looks. And
Mm.
I don't know for sure, but like some of those characters look a little Gen AI, I'd
They
say.
said there's a content disclosure that said it features no AI generated art.
Okay.
Some of the in-game text was created with the assistance of AI tools, which was actually a good um, segue into what we're going to talk about next. But
Yeah.
um,
But yeah,
yeah, I don't
it's a
know.
wait and see. It's a wait and see for me.
Yeah, it looks so clunky. That's just my biggest hang up with it. So yeah, we will see now. Valve, you posted this. They rewrote their Gen I disclosure rules to more explicitly allow AI powered efficiency tools, and not and focus more on disclosures for generative AI, right? Which is kind of what we talked about a couple weeks ago. But it sounds like there's a new form that devs have to fill out that now specifies that while the presence of in-game Gen AI content must be divulged, including on the game store page, the usage of AI-based production tools for efficiency gains does not require disclosure. Um, you know, it's interesting. I feel like there have been models forever in terms of like making a game work better or like get devs better for
Yeah.
years. It doesn't really infringe, I think, on the true issues with like generative AI, right? Kind of like what we had talked about previously. Gen AI is just kind of like, hey, this is stealing from other things, and it's kind of slop basically, and people should know about it if they're going to spend money on something and spend their time on something. So I get why they kind of leaned more. This is like very pro dev, I would say,
Hmm.
which I think Steam could be both pro dev and pro consumer, right? So I don't really find any issues with this personally. Like when I'm looking at stuff, I mostly just care about generative AI. I don't
Yeah.
want I don't want I don't really want it in my games. I don't really want it in anything that I consume. You know, Obviously there's maybe some exceptions here and there, and like some stuff slipped through the cracks, but personally, that's how I feel about it. But hey, if like, you're using some kind of AI that's like, all right, it's gonna make this game run better rather than like it's not
Right.
about the actual, artistic side of this. That is that side of game dev is tech based, right? So you gotta look at it like that, I think. But I could be wrong on it. Obviously comment if you think that I'm way off, but like that's how I view it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a difficult thing to talk about, I think, sometimes because people have kind of lumped together all AI together. And, there is some issues with some like efficiency based AI models, like in terms of people like losing their jobs, I'm sure. But, if it's not really taking anybody's job, it's just making a game run better. Not not super unhappy about that.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of something that we mentioned before about Valve whenever we bring up Valve's AI policy or any games we're covering where it's disclosed, um, we talked about that like they're going to need to kind of be a little bit more specific, right? About what does this policy mean? Does it mean they can't use tool or they have to disclose when they use any type of AI to come up with ideas or whatever it might be? And obviously they need to disclose when it's like art assets or text assets in the game. So this we kind of like almost saw this coming, fresh juice on top of it. But I think that, you know, you make a good point that like people right now are like lumping any type of AI together and everyone is, especially people that are against it, they lump it all into generative AI. When I think people need to realize AI has been around since before GPT existed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's always been that sort, or not always, but like for a while there's been those sort of systems in games, whether it's like matchmaking and even a game we were just covering, right? Where they said that like there's no AI usage. I think it was in Rojack or no Turnbound. It even says it right down here, like in the tutorial. Even the tutorial where you play against the cat or occasional bot builds were crafted by our game designer, so it wasn't AI. Which, like to
Mm-hmm.
me, I'm like, I don't care if it was AI for the tutorial, like because
Yeah,
it's the
yeah, yeah.
compute, it's the mind behind what I'm playing. Like that makes sense. And I think that I've seen both sides arguing against this change or for this change from Valve. And I think it's put pretty well here, but it's also kind of interesting that it says the changed wording makes it explicit that developers don't need to disclose time saving tactics like using generative AI for concept art, such as Larian Studios did for Divinity or for Expedition 33. Baldur's Gate 3. I forget which one they use that for, nor the practice known as vibe coding, describing the intended purpose of code to an AI helper that then generates it instead of writing that code yourself. And then it says, if it's not something that players see, hear, read, or otherwise interact with during the course of the game, it's all gravy as far as Valve are concerned. So I think that's kind of interesting that like with that statement and that paragraph right there are things I agree with and things I don't agree with.
Mm-hmm.
Where you know, if it's something that I agree that if there's something that players don't see, interact with, like they don't know that it's AI, right? Or like it's nothing that's going to, be interacted with or seen, that's fine. But at the same time, like Larian Studios using generative AI for concept art,
Mm-hmm.
there's a chance that they use it for concept art. And as we know, generative AI like steals essentially from artists to come up with that. There's a chance that what if that concept art help inspire something they put in the game that looks a lot like someone else's work and they just didn't realize it because it was generated in the concept art. Like I still think there's ways things can slip through the cracks when we're still using generative AI for art. um
Mm-hmm.
so
Especially concept art, right? Because there are
yeah,
people out there that are solely concept artists,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like I think I think there's a good example of like, you know, the common complaint people will say about concept art is like it's so hard to like explain to artists like what I want or whatever. And then, somebody used an example of Ryan Johnson, the director of Knives Out. Basically, the scene where Chris Evans sits down in the chair with all the knives are pointing at him.
yeah.
He drew that on a napkin, like just like kind of like really like stick figures,
Hmm.
and gave that to his like set designer. That was concept art. And, like it's pretty easy to like good artists will take like will get your idea when
Yeah.
they see something, right? Or if you just explain it to them. So yeah, it becomes a little wishy-washy there, but you wonder if like maybe some of these bigger studios kind of pressed Valve a little bit on it, saying, hey, like, we're getting a lot of flack for using AI for concept art, stuff like
Mhm.
that, but like, hey, like nobody's seeing it, we're just using it internally, you
Yeah.
know which, whatever, that might not be super ethical, but maybe, they bring a lot of money for Valve, right? Like, money talks, I would
Right.
assume.
Yeah, and I think also that I mean it could definitely be like these larger studios pressuring Valve, but also at the same time, right? Like if it's a larger studio, why can't you pay someone to do your concept art? Like you
Mm-hmm.
clearly have the resources to do it,
And you're
and
gonna make a bajillion dollars.
yeah, exactly. And you save yourself, from the critique. Because you can confidently say, this is the concept artist. This person did the
Yeah,
concept
we're
art.
proud
Yeah.
of this work this person did for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So
So
when it comes to the art side, it definitely a little wishy washy. And I think, even they kind of listed here, it's like, you know, uh, do you have to list every time a level designer uses Gemini to write an email? Right.
yeah,
Game engines like Unreal now have a built-in AI chatbot to help you as you're building your game. Do they need to disclose that? If they just have a question of where something is or how to do something in Unreal, like, is that really something that needs to be disclosed? I don't think
no,
so
no,
from,
no,
yeah,
no,
from
no.
that point. And also, from, I don't know, my thoughts, right, about like I'm not really someone that's, if a game is like mostly AI generated, the only time I'd really try it is to see how bad it probably is.
Yeah,
But if there's a game like, I know people were like dunking on Expedition 33, right? People were dunking on
mm-hmm.
like Larian for mentioning the concept art stuff. But if there's a game that like uses a little bit of like Gen AI, right? It's not necessarily a game I'd fully stay away from because my mindset is that if I'm having fun with the game, it's almost like going to a restaurant, right? And if you have a great meal and then after the meal you find out that like I don't know, they like the rice was heated up in the microwave, right? Like and I still enjoyed the meal. Like if it was just, I don't know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like I feel like there are some people that are like, if they found that out, they never go back there again. And me, I'm like, I don't know, it tasted good. Like, I'm not gonna maybe dip my toes in there, all the time, right? But I don't know. I definitely think that the policy should be changed to include any art related things should be disclosed, even if
mm-hmm.
it's concept art. But I don't have a problem with people using it to like, figure out how to use their game engines or anything that's really on the back end that's a technical issue. I mean,
Yeah,
I use Gemini all the time at work to just problem solve things, right? Of like, this is the situation, give me options on what I should do for this, right? And like I think that that's fine for game developers to do that too because I feel like some people are holding them they're putting them up on like a pedestal, but then if another not medium, but if another, you know, person in their life is using Gen AI for something, they're not against it. It's just kind of like these game devs are being like critiqued more than ever for this sort of stuff. So I think this is a good change all in all. But I would like to see that like art related things, even concept art, would be included as well, just to disclose it because I think there is a chance, as we mentioned, things could slip through the cracks and like you could end up with someone else's art in your game if you're
mm-hmm.
using generative AI for concept art.
Yeah, and these big studios have no excuse. I think
Yeah.
that's like the thing. But also, like, people like, you mentioned the Expedition 33 thing, which is very minor, but this is also this is just a result of the Game Awardsification of video games, right? People get pissed their favorite game didn't win. And, you know, or, people will defend their favorite game if it won till they're, it's like, it's, we're humans are like tribal. We just
Yeah.
are. We can't help it. You know, you fight for the Eagles with all your life. I fight for the Packers for all my life. You know, it's just we can't help it, right? We all want to be part of a tribe, and like like that just is it. And you know, unfortunately, that's like it makes this like it muddies the waters a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you know, when reality is like Gen AI is bad. You know, efficiency AI is fine, right? Like you know, like I think like people are saying it was like, well, should we just like list everything, right? Like that's a slippery slope fallacy, right? No, no, we're not really asking for that. We just want to know
Yeah.
if things are being stolen, right? You know, like the level-headed people. So, you know, it's interesting,
And
but
I think this is also going to cause something we mentioned in a previous episode where, and we just saw it with Turnbound there, where developers are just going to outright say they don't use any
yeah,
generative AI. And I think it's going to get to a point where so many games are saying that, where if a game doesn't say it, people are going to assume it used AI at some point, right?
yeah,
In
yeah, yeah,
even if it's like outside that policy that Steam mentioned, so it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how people react. As time goes on, like already or we're only in January, right? So like
yeah.
come December, like what is this conversation going to be like with Gen AI in games? Like it's going to be very, very interesting. And I'd love to hear the juice heads. I'd love to hear your
Yeah,
thoughts
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as well on this because everyone's got a different perspective. And it's I always mention like in my day job when like people were bringing up like AI and stuff, I'm like, it's like the Wild West right now where like
Mm-hmm.
there's no regulation, there's no rules really. This is so anytime like these policies are changed or introduced, it's like it's just this huge ripple effect where everyone's got their opinion. So would love to know what you guys think in the Discord or in the comments.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I've had like a little bit of a realization, you know, I think I doomed about it a little bit, like this is it, like, you know, whatever. And then you kind of you got to look around at other things that are well made, right? That still exist. And part of I mean, I'll you know, one of my rec rooms is like a watch content creator, right? And like I've been like slowly getting into watches the past 2 years. And the reality is, yeah, in the 80s when quartz watches came out, everybody was like, "Well, why would we ever do a mechanical watch ever again?
Hmm.
Because this is super accurate and relatively inexpensive and easy and like anybody can make a quartz watch." But guess what? People are still spending tens, 20, 30, 50, $100,000 on beautifully made mechanical watches
Yeah,
now. People still put value in it,
yeah.
right? And
It's like with cars.
you
It's
know,
like the same thing.
cars
You
too.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's like
yeah,
you want something well made in the end of the day.
yeah,
You know, if you care about that kind of stuff, and I think people will always kind of care about it. So,
yeah.
but anyway, what have you been playing lately?
What have I been playing? So I've been playing a game for that I'll talk about next week. It's called Mio. That I'll talk. I won't mention a lot of that right now, but it's a Metroidvania. And I played a play test for this game called Project Doors, which is kind of interesting. It is kind of a friend sloppy sort of game, but essentially it's a game where, and I just played it solo. Every door you walk through is like a portal to another world. So it's been fun because you don't know what's behind the next door. So that playtest has been fun. That's on Steam. People can just go check it out. It's called Project Doors. What else? I've been playing a little bit of Cassette Boy, which is a pretty cool game from a solo dev out of Japan. It's a perspective-based puzzle adventure game. So if you're familiar with like Fez, for example, like back in the day, and I think there's even a Fez 2 maybe, but I enjoyed Fez. Just imagine Fez, but just more kind of bite-sized and very like puzzle focused versus like really on the adventure kind of side of things. So I've been playing some of that, and then also some Hightail. Hightail. I made a post about this where like I'm not. I'm kind of like at least up until Hightail. over the kind of Minecraft aesthetic in games, like the blocky stuff, and like I just played so much of it that I just kind of got a little tired of it. And then also just like Minecraft, I've tried to get into it when my friends, kind of start playing it, and I just end up falling flat where I'm like, I've played enough of this. Hytale, I thought I kind of feel the same, and it is early access still, but I gotta tell you, I've been really enjoying like the narrowed focus of it where it's like this is an RPG. I know what I need to do. There's some crafting and survival elements as well, but I know I need to go get better gear. I need to go, I get to discover things that have been built and like these different kind of dungeons and caves that have been made, and it's endless, I believe, just like, or it's procedural at least, like Minecraft. So I've been really enjoying it, and I've just been playing solo, so I'm gonna be definitely making more content on Hytale, but that has been kind of I'd say my surprise of the week, is that if you are, someone that, has kinda maybe been away from Minecraft for a bit, but like you still, it's still like something where you're like, maybe one day I'll get back into it. I highly recommend checking out Hytale, because not only is it doing a lot of things well, it's just right in early access and the game's kind of been abandoned for like a decade, but there's also like, it's so mod friendly that I have seen, like, what has it been out like less than a week, I think? Like, I've seen tons of people just make mods, like crazy amount, like, and apparently it's way easier than in Minecraft. You can make like I could go in there and I could make a custom block that's never existed before. Like all these kind of cool things. And I'm like, man, this is just an endless amount of content in this game. And I've really been enjoying my time with it. I gotta play more. Um, Unfortunately, it's not on Steam. That's the only thing that like I wish it was, but I'm sure it will at some point, because I'd love to play it on the Steam Deck. But anyway, yeah. So that's what I've been playing. Been playing a bunch of that stuff. Nothing really much outside of that. But what about you? I know you've been away a
Um,
bit, but
yeah, Flesh and Blood. I just 100% hit Balatro again.
oh my god, was it the third
I was
time?
fourth. Um, I was working on trying to do a no death run. It's like impossible for like me anyway. But so what I decided to do is like, all right, how few wins can I 100% Balatro in?
Mm,
And this is like my base, right? Like if I want to hop in again and see if I can beat it, is 157 wins to 100%
okay.
Balatro. So I don't know. I think like the minimum you can do it is like 130 or something like that. I think I did the math because like X
Oh,
amount of wins to like
so pretty
do all
good.
the golds. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
like you try to like really win your gold stakes with as many like jokers that you haven't like won with yet.
Yeah.
So like just try to like really stack them. But I got down to like three, and I was hoping to like bang all three of them out in one run, you know, and it ended up taking me three wins to do it. So
Damn.
so
Yeah.
like I was doing it like, all right, if I'm gonna win without a joker that I haven't won with, I just end my run.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I'm not gonna count it as a win. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And I've been playing a lot of Retro Bowl. It's like I was traveling and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
just trying to get all the achievements in the new like the NFL edition or whatever.
Yeah. It must be
So
nice being able to play that on iOS.
pretty nice,
I
pretty
know. I
nice.
wish it would be on Android.
But
Uh,
yeah,
Nice.
that's what I've been really been playing. Hoping to game some more. Lady Fresh has been playing the Animal Crossing update and more Winterboro. She's just a gamer girl now, so she's more of a gamer than me. So,
There you
I gotta
go.
hop back on it. But next week you're gonna be talking about Mio Memories in Orbit. If I manage to get it, I might hop on it too. If not, I'll be talking about a demo that we got access to as well. But we have some listener questions. First comes from K Moore. These are all submitted on the Fresh Juice Discord. Please join. How do you like your salsa?
I like my salsa I like it with a little kick in it, you know? I don't know, medium hot, maybe? What if that's we're going, like, like, kinda that level? Um, yeah, I don't know, probably that. I'm not a fan of, like, salsa verde, I will say, typically.
Oh,
Yeah, anytime I've had it, I've just been like, "Eh," I'm not really, like, super into it. I definitely, prefer, like, the red salsas, but, yeah, I like a little kick to it. I don't know if I have, like, a favorite salsa brand or anything like that. I think Tostitos is, like, the bottom of the barrel, where
yeah.
it's just, like, it's just easy to get and, for, like, parties and stuff, where you're, like, you're scrambling, so, yeah, but I don't know, I like a little hot, like, tomato salsa, as I've gotten older, I'll say I've been more and more into, like, the spicy side of things, so, yeah, that's where I'll go with it, but what about you, Tom? I feel like I mean, you've had a lot of, like, hot sauces, right? But,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
how you
yeah.
feel about, like, a salsa, for, like, with
Salsa?
chips?
Like a nice hot, like red salsa is good. I have come around. Like, I don't think I was ever really a huge fan of salsa verde, but in my golden years here, I've gotten into it. I kind of like that, like especially when it's spicy, but like that herbal kind of bitterness that comes with the salsa verde. It's pretty nice. I surprisingly I like a mango salsa or like a peach salsa where it's like spicy with a little sweetness in there. It's kind
Yeah,
of nice. You know, I do not like my salsa like super watery though. I like it
yeah.
very viscous. So, like you really and like, we're rocking, it's nice to get really good tortilla chips, but I'm always rocking with scoops, right? Like it's
Yeah.
just the greatest invention ever, ever.
Ever. Forget the
I'll
cotton gin, it's all about Tostitos scoops. I don't know,
Did
I don't
Tostitos scoops lead to the proliferation of slavery in the United States? I don't think so.
That's true.
Anyway,
I don't know why I
that's
always think of the cotton gin when I think of inventions. Eli Whitney, it's like ingrained from
yeah,
elementary school.
yeah,
Invented the cotton gin. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah. But yeah, yeah, I would say something like that. But good question. R Carp asks favorite snow day activity.
Favorite snow day activity. So I'm gonna do like when I was a kid and like now. So when I was a kid, I would go out with my buddies. We'd build like a snow fort and we'd spray it with water so it'd freeze overnight and then it'd be nice and like you know, sturdy the next day. And then we'd have like snowball battles and stuff. And we'd be sledding down like a little tiny hill and standing up on the sled and doing all stupid stuff. That was my by far favorite like snow day activity. It's just kind of like, you know, typical kind of like what if you looked up or if you asked AI what like kids do in the snow, that's like
They're
what I
sledding.
love to do. Nowadays, I mean, I look forward to shoveling the snow. I've always liked shoveling snow personally. I don't know why, but it just, it's quiet out there, especially if it's like snowing a little bit still. And then I usually put my headphones in. I got like a little music going, and I'm just, doing a little physical activity, shoveling. I don't know, it's just like peaceful, and it's like repetitive over and over. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I'm just shoveling. So I like doing that. I probably will have some more favorite snow day activities once like my daughter, gets a little older and we're doing more stuff in the snow. But I don't know. I don't really do a lot right now in the snow because if it's a snow day, I'm still working because I work from home.
Mhm.
So I'm still working. It's not as fun as it used to be. But yeah, probably that. What about you?
Yeah, I used to like sledding a lot. I would love to get out sledding again. I would still enjoy it, but
Oh yeah.
I remember like when we get a snow day, like go down to like see some friends, like our cousin Dan and like my friend Will and Pat, and we'd like, we would sled a little bit and then play some board games, and then we'd always end up at the pizza joint in the town that they lived in
Yeah.
that was like open, like no matter what, and we would just like huddle in there, get warm, and like get some like buffalo chicken pizza or something like that. That was always a
Oh
good
man,
time.
buffalo chicken pizza on a snow day.
Oof. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's that feeling. That's that feeling I'm chasing right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah. And then finally we have a question for Capolo, who asks, what's our favorite Pixar movie?
My favorite Pixar movie is A Bug's Life. I've always
Oh, okay.
I've always loved it ever since I was a kid. Ingrained in my mind is when they make like the spyglass with the drop of water in the leaf.
Oh
And it's
yeah.
probably part of the reason I love Grounded so much is because
Mm,
I feel like I'm like, playing a part in A Bug's Life. So there's some other fantastic ones. Like I love Moana, like the newer ones. Coco is fantastic as well. The Incredibles, I just watched that again, but probably hands down it'd be A Bug's Life is my favorite one.
yeah. I haven't really gotten into like the newer ones, right, as much. I think the most recent one I saw was Inside Out, maybe,
Okay, that one I'm
which
not.
was good.
Yeah, I'm fine with
Yeah.
it, but it's not like one of my favorites. I highly recommend though if you're gonna watch a newer one, Tom, Coco and Moana, the first
Is
Moana.
Moana Pixar or is that just Disney?
Oh, maybe Moana's just Disney. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. There's
Okay, but
always, I mean, Moana might be.
Coco's
Um,
awesome. Coco's great.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I hear the waterworks get going a little bit on
yeah.
that
It
one.
just
Yeah.
looks really cool too. Like it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very, very well done. I put off watching Coco for a while because I was like, it's a new Pixar movie. How good could it be?
Yeah,
Turns out it was
yeah.
great. So anyway, what? So
I
what
think,
do you think your favorite is?
God, it's actually a really hard one to answer because I do love Bugs Life, right? That's like a great pull. I'm not a Cars guy, right?
Same.
Kerchow, yeah, I get it. Whatever. First Toy Story, big time fan of that.
Yeah.
I watched that ad nauseum as a kid. And then I think the best one, like the truly best one, is The Incredibles. I think it's like the best
Oh,
script.
so
It's
good.
just like it just is a great movie. Like that could have been any kind of animation and it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
So like I'm leaning towards The Incredibles. I gotta actually bring up Pixar movies
The
because
Incredibles.
I don't want to like miss any.
When I just recently rewatched it and I was like, man, this movie's so good. Like just everything about it. I mean, the animation style can feel a little dated at times, which is fine, but the jokes and just the pacing,
Mm-hmm.
everything was just so like just well done. Like truly one of the best Pixar movies. Yeah.
I mean, man, there's some good ones. I'm looking at this list.
Yeah.
Finding Nemo is a banger,
It's so good.
and Monsters Inc.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Mike Wazowski, like Billy Crystal, John Goodman. That
Yeah.
is just the best. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like if I'm gonna give like like a totally objective answer, it would be The Incredibles. But if I'm gonna be subjective, I might just give it to Monsters Inc. because that one always made me laugh like a
Yeah.
lot because that one was hilarious. But good
Yeah.
question.
Plus also just like potentially the best concept for a Pixar movie is Monsters Inc. Like for personally,
Yeah.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
like these are the monsters that are like scaring kids from their perspective, It's just
Yeah.
it's so well done with Randall and everything.
Mm.
Yeah. And he's Steve
Even
Buscemi.
the sequel wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Monsters
The Monsters
University.
University.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Still good.
That one
Yeah.
was more just jokes that like I think a little bit less substance, but
Yeah.
you know, yeah, Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Banger. Thanks for the questions, everybody. We're gonna go down to the rec room where we recommend something that perhaps isn't an indie game or could be, and then we're gonna say our goodbyes. What do you have to recommend this week?
I'm recommending a YouTube channel that perhaps I've recommended a long time ago in the show, but I've recently started watching him again. He's fantastic. Sorry, my daughter's crying in the background. I don't know if you can hear.
No.
His name is GeoWizard. So essentially, he's one of those guys that could play GeoGuessr and know where you are, right, based on the pictures. But that's not why I don't know if you could. Do you not hear her?
I heard a little bit. That's all
Okay.
right.
No, I
She's an
know. I
honorary
know.
third guest.
Yes, she is. I know. But man, she gets so upset. Um, but the reason I originally started watching him is because he had this series, and he does it every now and then where he's like, I'm gonna walk a straight line across Wales, right? So it's the straight line challenge. That's how I found out about him. He kind of blew up from that. But I've been watching more of his videos more recently, and like they're not really these kind of straight line challenges, but I forget, he was in some country like Austria. He's like, I'm gonna try to cross Austria with like $12 in my pocket, or 12 euros or whatever. And then he did one more recently that I was like, this one is like crazy, where how like your Windows background changes every day. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
the next Windows background that appears, I'm gonna travel to, and I'm gonna find that exact spot that they took that picture. So of course, when he went to go do it, he turned his computer off, turned it back on, and his computer blue screen for the first time in like 5 years.
Oh my
And he
god.
had to go like fix it or whatever. And then he basically he figured out how to fix it. And then he traveled to I think it was the Alps, and he found like the exact spot the picture was taken. And I don't know, it's just he's got great commentary. He's British, so it's also, I don't know, just nice to like listen to. And like he's got that British wit and that charm that's just funny. Most of the time. And yeah, I don't know, he's just really interesting to listen to. He gives me like Outdoor Boys vibes, kind of, with like some of the knowledge he kind of drops. But I really enjoy it. It's a great YouTube channel. If you have like, if you're sitting down to eat and you want to throw something on, or you want to put something on while you're working, like GeoWizard, he's awesome. Hands down, recommend checking out GeoWizard. And for whatever reason, I am just like into people, like, I guess it's the survival side of things, but like,
Yeah.
like when he walks like a straight line, like he's got another straight line challenge he said that's going to be coming out. Like, it's so interesting. Like when he's like trespassing on people's property, and you're like, is someone going to come out with like a farmer with a gun, which has happened before, and like he's going to have to
Yeah.
book it. Like, it's all these kind of things that it's just you never know what's going to happen. So GeoWizard, recommending his channel. Um, fun watch for sure.
Yeah, I just popped on and I didn't check out his channel, but I went to his Patreon.
Yeah.
6,700 paid members. Lowest tier $1, the next tier is $4.
Yeah.
If you like assume like that 25% of the people are doing the $4 and 75% of the people are doing the $1, that's still like $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yep.
Good
That's
for
why he's able
GeoWizard.
to choose a Windows background and fly there, then figure out where they're,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's awesome. And he's like just so grateful too. Like, it's clear he's one of those people where it's clear where he was like, he wasn't trying to like have his
Hmm.
channel blow up. So yeah, he seems like a genuine dude, and has great content.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet. It
What
looks
about you?
awesome. I'm recommending a content creator, specifically a series he does on TikTok and I guess Instagram as well. But Andy's Watches, um, kind of like does like talks about watches a lot, but obviously, but I stumbled upon him on TikTok because he does this series where he says I'm rating people's watch collections without their permission, right? And it's like this like ongoing bit where people will like post a video of their watch collection, talk about it, and then at the beginning they'll say, "By the way, nobody's allowed to rate this," and he, so like he downloads the videos and then like we'll go through it and rate it. And the nice thing is like a lot of like the watch communities can be like very like uppity
Mm-hmm.
and snooty sometimes,
Uppity uppity.
and uppity.
I don't know.
but
Yeah.
but he like has this incredible like emotional intelligence about him, And like basically he's like, oh, if it's like a watch I don't like or a brand that I don't like, but like you have like a really good story about how you came across it, it's gonna get a good rating, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't like that's awesome. That's what it's all about. Like, people's like, oh yeah, like this was a gift from my parents when I was like 16, and it's like whatever. It's not a great watch, but I hold on to it. He's like, well, it automatically gets like a 9. So and then like you get to see like you get to hear him talk about it, which is pretty interesting because like he has I think a pretty good sense of style and stuff like that, but also like you get to see like a lot of different kind of people's stuff and like what
Yeah.
they like to wear, and it's pretty interesting. So yeah, Andy's watches, I think, yeah, mostly on TikTok he does it, but like yeah, specifically the watching or rating people's watch collections without their permission is
Yeah.
what I would say.
Yeah.
It's pretty
That's
good stuff.
ridiculous. Who would post something and be like, you can't rate this?
Yeah,
Don't tell me what
it's
I
like
can't do.
yeah. Well, it's funny because he'll be like, all right, I'm gonna rate somebody's watch collection without their permission, and then the video starts. He's like, oh, by the way, nobody's allowed to rate this, and he cuts back to him. He's like, perfect, and then
That's
so
great.
yeah, I've
Nice.
been liking it. So yeah, but anyway, that's been the show. Another banger in the books. 117. Can you believe it? Next week, 118. That's how numbers work. We don't do any 0.5s around here, folks. Whole round numbers.
Yep.
Anyway, you can find me mostly on Blue Sky at Fresh Buds Pod. I have a podcast called Fresh and Buds. It's on YouTube, Spotify, all this other stuff. And we talk about Flesh and Blood, the awesome indie-ish. At this point, they've gotten so big that I don't even know if they'd be considered indie, but still, same owner, same CEO, card game. And this week we're going to have Bryce Platts, who is another content creator, but also a commentator. He was a caster at the tournament I was at over the weekend. He's a great dude. West Coast. We don't hold it against him. Check it out. You can find us on all socials at Fresh Juice Pod. Where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm on all of the socials. On Instagram, it's Matty Gorm YT. I've been posting about indie games, so check me out over there.
And that's how we juice it, folks. Send it.